Continuing on, chapter 3, that we alcoholics are men and women who've lost the ability to control drinking, control our drinking. We have no choice over it. We know that no real alcoholic ever recovers control, and we cross out control and put the choice because we don't really have that choice. The physical craving takes over, and the mental obsession almost kills us. All of us felt at times that we are regaining control. Like after I quit for a week or two, I'm like, I probably could do that. But such intervals, usually brief, are inevitably followed by still less control, crossed out, and choice is written above it. We have less choice, like it's taking over our lives, which led in time to pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. We are convinced, all of us, that alcoholics of our type are in the grip of a progressive illness. So it continues to get worse. And even in sobriety, why we have to do this work more often and take sponsees through is it's a progressive illness. Over any considerable period, we get worse, never better. And after that, I wrote, even not drinking without a solution. So when I'm dry, which I've explained before, I get sicker, never better. But when I work in the spiritual program, I can at least stay relatively sane. We are like the men who have lost their legs. They never grow new ones. Neither does there appear to be any kind of treatment which will make alcoholics of our kind like other men or other people. We've tried every imaginable remedy. In some instances, there have been brief recovery, followed always by still worse relapse. And always is underlined there because the description we've been given, and I truly believe this, the progressive fatal illness, even while I quit, it's as if I'd been drinking that whole time. So when I quit for a year and a half, it was like I'd stayed drinking. So when I started back up after a year and a half, it was as if I never had stopped in the first place and had been drinking all the way through it. Physicians who are familiar with alcoholism agree there is no such thing as making a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. Also today, because they still can't find a way to make a normal drinker out of an alcoholic. They would make millions if they could. Science may one day accomplish this, but it hasn't done so yet. Despite all we can say, many who are real alcoholics, me, ? Are not going to believe they are in that class. By every form of self-deception and experimentation, they will try to prove themselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. If anyone who is showing inability to control his drinking can do the right about face and drink like a gentleman, our hats are off to him. Heavens knows we have tried hard enough and long enough to drink like other people. If I could drink normally, I would. I cannot. I've taken the test and I've proven that I cannot. Here are some of the methods we have tried. Drinking beer only, limiting the number of drinks, never drinking alone, never drinking in the morning, drinking only at home, never having it in the house, never drinking during business hours, drinking only at parties, switching from scotch to brandy, drinking only natural wines, agreeing to resign if ever drunk on the job, taking a trip, not taking a trip, swearing off forever, with and without a solemn oath, and taking more physical exercise. Reading inspirational books, going to health farms and sanitariums, accepting voluntary commitment to asylums. We could increase the list ad infinitum, and that means without end, it says right here. And treatment centers. I did 3 treatment centers. We do not like to pronounce any individual as alcoholic, but you can quickly diagnose yourself. Step over to the nearest bar room and try some controlled drinking. Try to drink and stop abruptly. So that's 2 drinks a day for 30 days is the controlled drinking. It's a little test. You can diagnose yourself. I never could do it. I couldn't make it past the first week. for 30 days. If all else fails, this is when you do that, and that's written at the top of the next page. Try it more than once. It will not take long for you to decide if you are honest with yourself about it. It may be worth a bad case of jitters if you get a full knowledge of your condition. Though there is no way of proving it, we believe that early in our drinking careers, most of us could have stopped drinking. But the difficulty is that few alcoholics have enough desire to stop while there is yet time. We have heard of few instances where people who showed definite signs of alcoholism were able to stop for a long period because of overpowering desire to do so. Here is one. A man of 30 was doing a great deal of spree drinking. He was very nervous in the morning. After these bouts, quieted himself with more liquor, so it was his sedative. He was ambitious to succeed in business, but saw that he would get nowhere if he drank at all. Once he started, he had no control whatever, and allergy is written above that control, so he had the allergy. He made up his mind that until he had been successful in business and had retired, he would not touch another drop. So control's written above that. He's trying to control it and give the choice to himself, but essentially he just quit, became a dry drunk, was able to somehow manage in business. An exceptional man who remained bone dry for 25 years, retired at the age of 55. After a successful and happy business career, then he fell victim to the belief, which practically every alcoholic has, that his long period of sobriety and self-discipline had qualified him to drink as other men. And that's underlined, as this thought comes through all of our minds often. He couldn't do what he did 25 years ago, it talks about, because of the progressive fatality of it. Out came his carpet slippers and a bottle. You'll hear people joke about that in the meeting, the carpet slippers. In 2 months, he was in hospital, puzzled and humiliated. He tried to regulate his drinking for a while, making several trips to the hospital meantime. Then, gathering all his forces, he attempted to stop altogether and found he could not. Every means of solving his problem, and we wrote human power for solving the problem being powerlessness, is written above. He wants to stop but can't. To stop his problem, which money could buy, was at his disposal. Every attempt failed. Though a robust man at retirement, he went to pieces quickly and was dead within 4 years. Chronic, fatal, and progressive is written next to that, because this is what happened to him that we all experience. The case contains a powerful lesson most of us have believed that if we remain sober for a long stretch, we could therefore drink normally. But here is a man who at 55 years found he was just where he left off at 30, and that's underlined. We have seen the truth demonstrated again and again. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. Commencing to drink after a period of sobriety, we are in a short time as bad as ever. If we are planning to stop drinking, there must be no reservation of any kind, and that's underlined, because there must be no reservation is why we spend 60 pages on the first step. Nor lurking notion, which obsession is written next to that someday we will be immune to alcohol. Young people may be encouraged by this man's experience to think they can stop, as he did, on their own willpower. We doubt if many of them can do it, because none will really want to stop. And hardly one of them, because of the peculiar mental twist already acquired, will find he can win out. Several of our crowd, men of 30 or less, had been drinking only a few years, but they found themselves as helpless as those who'd been drinking 20 years. How much and how long doesn't matter is written next to that paragraph. To be gravely affected, one does not necessarily have to drink a long time nor take quantities some of us have. This is particularly true of women. Potential female alcoholics often turn into the real thing and are gone beyond recall in a few years. Certain drinkers, who would be greatly insulted if called alcoholics, are astonished at their inability to stop. We who are familiar with the symptoms see large numbers of potential alcoholics among young people everywhere. But try and get to see it. Try to get them to see it. As we look back, we feel we had gone on drinking many years beyond the point where we could quit on our own willpower. If anyone questions whether he has entered this dangerous area, let him try leaving liquor alone for a year. This is the second test, as highlighted next to it. Try leaving liquor alone for a year. If he is a real alcoholic and very far advanced, there is scant chance of success. In the early days of our drinking, we occasionally remain sober for a year or more, becoming serious drinkers again later. Though you may be able to stop for a considerable period, you may yet be a potential alcoholic. We think few, to whom this book will appeal, can stay dry anything like a year. Some will be drunk the day after making their resolutions, most of them within a few weeks. And so a few questions next to this next paragraph says, how far gone am I? Question mark. Did I lose the power and can't stop no matter what? And do I have a defense?
Can you pause it?
Sure.